It is this week's Commanders Report mailbag. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and I say this every time we do a mailbag, but this really is my favorite segment that we get to do every single week on this channel, because instead of me telling you guys or me guessing what you want me to talk about, you guys come to me with your questions directly, and we get to have that two-way conversation at least once a week. So before we get into the content and the questions today, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because our goal is to join the most interactive Commanders community on YouTube. We put out daily community posts on the community tab on this channel. We go live every single Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time during the offseason, and as well as every single game day once we get to the season. It's an absolute blast on this channel, guys. So if you've just joined us and you haven't experienced our channel that much, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Try us out for a week. I promise you won't regret it. So if you want daily, free, interactive Commanders content here on YouTube, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. First one coming in from my man JG says, how many years will Terry get on his extension? I expect it to be 3 years, JG, so that would make him a Commander for at least the next 4 years. All right, so that would take him until his age 34 season. And I think that he's absolutely deserving of that. All right, I think that he can still play at a high level to that point. And, he keeps his body in tip-top physical shape. So I don't really have any concerns that Terry's going to still be worth his contract towards the end of his next contract there. And honestly, by the time he gets to the end of that contract, he might not even be a top 10 paid receiver in the league anymore. So I think that I would be perfectly willing to pay him anywhere between $30 and $33 million per season. I think he's worth that. He's a do-it-all alpha-type receiver, top 10 receiver in the game as far as I'm concerned, and I think he deserves to be paid as such. Then we got one from Alvin here. Says, do we add who do we add in kicker room for competition? Listen, man, I thought that they were going to just bring in Matt Gay and then keep Zane Gonzalez and have those two duke it out. The fact that you bring in Matt Gay at $4.25 million on a one-year deal, he's going to be the starter. So honestly, I don't even know if there's going to be much competition. They'll bring in another kicker, but I don't really expect that kicker to really have a chance versus somebody that they're paying $4.25 million to this year. Matt Gay is going to be the kicker. Got one from Eugene. He says, how much is Jaden Daniels going to get when his rookie deal is up? That will tell you how much others will get. Listen, man, it's up to 60 right now with Dak Prescott, and we're still, at least 2 years away, 2 off seasons away from the Commanders even being eligible to give Jaden Daniels an extension. At that point, I think we're probably talking somewhere around $65, $66 million per year, man. And that's just going to be the going rate, especially if he's won an MVP at that point, especially if he's won a Super Bowl at that point. He's going to want to be the highest paid quarterback in football. And if I'm the Washington Commanders, if he has definitely solidified himself as this team's franchise QB, and you can make an argument he's already done that, leading this team to an NFC Championship game in just his rookie season, the first opportunity that I get to give him that contract extension, I'm paying top market value, and I'm walking away happy with that. I'm not going to let this thing drag on and end up having to pay $68, $69, $70 million. Whenever that deadline's up, whatever the market rate is, I'm paying it, and I'm paying it happily. Let me know down there in the comment section, guys, how much would you pay Jaden Daniels on his next deal? Would you pay $70 million if that was the price tag that he asked for? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that YouTube ad break is playing, go down there in the comment section and let me know how much you'd be willing to pay for Jaden Daniels and what point it's too much. Got one from Robert Briggles. It says, if Trey Hendrickson is too far of a reach for Adam Peters, which other edges in this league would be a realistic chance of trading for without spending too much? I would say a couple of trade targets at the edge position, Robert. And by the way, really good question. I would say keep your eye on Odafe Oweh from the Baltimore Ravens, had 10 sacks last year. They did address the edge position in the draft, and his name has been connected to some trade rumors. So, going from Baltimore to Washington, not a far drive, all these different things. I honestly don't think he'd be that expensive either. Maybe a future mid-round draft pick, something like that. And he's kind of perfect for what the Commanders need. They need like a designated pass rush kind of guy. They already have bigger bodies that can set the edge like Dorrance Armstrong and Cleveland Ferrell for early down work. They really just need somebody that can win one-on-one on third down situations. So Odafe Oweh, somebody to keep your eye on. Tyree Wilson, former top 5 pick for the Las Vegas Raiders, another one to keep your eye on. They brought back Malcolm Kuntz this year in free agency. Obviously, they have Max Crosby. Could they be willing to let go of Tyree Wilson? There's been some rumblings about that. But then in free agency, there's some other options as well. Zadarius Smith had a pretty decent season last year. He's still available and wants to try and win a Super Bowl. Von Miller is still kicking around out there. He can be a designated pass rusher for you still, even in his old age. And, Matthew Judon's still out there. So maybe not the best options in the world are out there, but hey, Odafe Oweh, Von Miller, Zadarius Smith, I'd be fine with any of those options. Then we got one from SYN. Excuse me. He says, do you see Madrano making the team? I think he's got a chance. He's very undersized, but he is an athletic freak. And he's somebody that you're hoping can probably develop into a coverage linebacker, because with the way he moves, man, he could do some cool stuff if he develops. Now, it's a difficult position, and his tape isn't really all that good, if I'm being completely honest with you. But he moves fast for a linebacker, severely undersized, so probably never a 3-down player. But we'll have to see how he develops. And it's worth noting that this team drafted another kind of undersized athletic linebacker last year in Jordan McGee out of Temple, who they do expect to take another step forward this year. So we'll kind of see how these rookies and second-year players kind of develop in the early stages of their career. But right now, the Commanders are just taking a bunch of dart throws at a lot of athletic kind of guys and hoping one of them sticks to the wall. Before we get into the rest of the questions here, make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already, if you are a real one. The real ones know clicking that thumbs up icon, it boosts the YouTube algorithm, it helps out the channel, and it gets as many eyes on this video as possible. So we greatly appreciate everyone that likes the video. Then we got one from Greg. He says, how good do you think our defense will be this coming year? Listen, Greg, I think it's going to be improved, okay? And I know a lot of people right now are looking at the edge rusher room, and we talked about some of the ways that they could still address that. But last year, they weren't really allowed to play the style of defense that they want to play because the cornerback room was so bad. They had to play so much off coverage. They had to play, so conservatively because Benjamin St-Juste, Emmanuel Forbes, Michael Davis, they were all dog shit, all right? They were terrible. And you look at Mike Sainristil, he was really the saving grace of this unit last year. And then you bring in Marshawn Lattimore, who was dealing with an injury, and then even when he was playing, wasn't really playing all that well. So, this offseason, you do bring back Marshawn Lattimore. You do have Mike Sainristil still. But now you add Jonathan Jones, who can play inside or outside as a very good swing type of corner to be in the rotation, and then you draft a really good outside corner in Trey Amos to be a starter right away. All right, now maybe Amos is going to be behind Jonathan Jones on the initial depth chart, but I can almost guarantee you guys, he's going to be the week 1 starter. He's awesome, man. He plays with great technique, both in zone and in man. Not the quickest feet in the world, but he's got adequate long speed, oily hips, plays with great technique and eye discipline. I think he's going to be an awesome, awesome player alongside Marshawn Lattimore. And with Lattimore fully healthy now, hopefully we get to see, the dominant press man corner that we've seen in New Orleans for all these years. And that also, by the way, allows Mike Sainristil to play where he's most suited, which is in the slot. He's not the fastest player, but he's very shifty and very instinctual and very tough. And that just wraps up the nickel cornerback position. That just describes the nickel cornerback position in a Dan Quinn defense to a T. So I love the secondary this year, specifically the cornerback position for the Washington Commanders. They've taken something that was arguably this team's biggest weakness last year and turned it into, honestly, maybe this defense's biggest strength. And then you got Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. with all these stunts and loops and games. like, even though they don't have a legit number one edge rusher, they're still going to be able to generate pressure with Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner and all these different guys that they've got on this defense. So honestly, Greg, I feel pretty optimistic that this defense is going to take another step in the right direction this year. Then we got one from JP6, says, who will surprise this year? Good question, JP6. I'm going to say Jerzon Newton, defensive tackle, second-year player. Didn't get much of an offseason last year because he had identical procedures done on both of his feet. So he kind of came in late, was on a moving train, showed some good things last year as a pass rusher, but really didn't get it going. This year he gets a full offseason, and I think with his athleticism and his ability to win one-on-one and get to the quarterback from the interior, he's going to be a menace this year, man. Watch out for Johnny Newton, Jerzon Newton, whatever you want to call him. I loved him coming out of Illinois, and I think after a full offseason, really acclimating himself to this defense and to this team, he's going to be an awesome player on this defense. Got one from TWD Fan Comic. He says, which positions are going to be the most lacking in the future due to age and retirement concerns? Sorry if this is a dumb question. I'm new to fine details, not just watching football. I appreciate the question there, Fan Comic. And yeah, this is actually a really good question because this is something you got to keep in mind. You know, this is a part of team building, knowing which players are towards the end of their career, and then you got to have contingency plans for when they retire in future seasons. And the guys that are really probably the most probably the most in danger of this being their final season is Bobby Wagner, the linebacker, Austin Eckler, the running back, and Zach Ertz, the tight end. Those three guys could all easily be in the final years of their respective careers. And right now, what is your contingency plans at those positions in future seasons? Right now, you got like Jordan McGee, who you drafted in the mid-rounds last year out of Temple at linebacker. Then you have Ben Sinnott, who you drafted in the early rounds out of Kansas State last year. And then at running back, you got Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who you drafted in the late rounds this year. So hopefully all those young players make the proper steps in their development. And if they don't, the Commanders are going to address them in future off seasons, right? They're going to get new free agents. They're going to draft new players early on in the NFL draft to make sure that whenever these guys do retire, they're going to have good players at these positions in future seasons. So good question there, Fan Comic. Then we got another one from Alvin. Says, will the UDFA from Jackson State make the team? I think he's got a chance, man. So he's talking about Robert McDaniel here. And he is everywhere on the football field, guys. Like, he played a lot of slot corner for Jackson State, and he blitzed off the edge a lot, and he was really freaking good at it. He's a good run defender. He brings some really good size at 211 pounds, and he can even play outside corner. He's got the speed to do that. So I think, you look at a guy like Robert McDaniel, played for Jackson State, was a superstar player at that level of college football. You can put him anywhere you want. He's big enough to play at box safety. Who knows? Maybe he's your day one starting box safety for this team. He can play in the slot. So if Samerstill gets injured and, Jonathan Jones is playing on the outside, he's more than capable of playing in the slot. If you want to put him at edge rusher on third downs, he's plenty experienced to do that. He had over 130 edge rusher snaps last year at 211 pounds. So this guy's versatile as hell. He plays the game the right way. He plays with his hair on fire. And, in a game like football where injuries happen all the time, versatility is such an important thing to have, especially if you have athleticism to pair with it. So I think this kid's got a chance to make the final team. I'm excited to see what he does in the offseason program. And who knows what could happen this year, guys. Who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Which UDFA has the best chance to make the roster this year? Is it that offensive lineman from NC State they paid a good contract to? Could it be Ja'Cory Brooks, receiver out of Louisville? Could it be Robert McDaniel, the Jackson State defensive back? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. For me, McDaniel definitely has a good chance to make the team. All right, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for all the questions. Some really, really good questions this week. Until next time, guys, hail to the Commanders.